Hi there. I'm going to demonstrate how to draw part 2 of the assignment, and hopefully I can get in close enough that you can see it. It's a little bit of a bigger sheet, but anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my measurements handy, and just so you know, I'm going to use different measurements. They're not the measurements that you're using, so do be accurate and use your measurements. But I've taped down my sheet, and so what I've done is I've made it a little bit bigger than 18 inches, and this way I can set up the top of the sheet. And I'm going to use a felt pen. You're going to use your 2H lead. So first thing to do is to position where we're going to start the drawing. And maybe I'm just going to draw a little line around the edge of my sheet so you can see where it is. And because I know it sort of disappears on this surface. So you're not going to do this, but I'm just doing this so that you can see where my paper is, because I'm going to start from the corner of the sheet. So the first thing we do is we want to, usually you plan where you're going to lay out your drawing, but I've done, a guesstimate about it. So we're first going to use our full-size scale. So I would use the one that says 16 on it, although you can also use the one that says 1. And we're just going to pretend that either of these scales is like a ruler, or a tape measure. It's basically full size, meaning life size. So 1 on here would represent 1 inch, and this would be 2 inch, and half of that would be, half an inch. So we're going to start our drawing. We want to find a corner. So we're going to go to the top of the sheet and measure over 1.5 inches. So I'm going to measure over 1.5 inches and put a little mark on my sheet. And I'm going to measure down from the top corner and put a little mark at the corner here. And then I'm going to draw some light lines, and mine are going to be black so that you can see them, but you'll draw them lightly using a 2H lead. So from this mark where I went down 1.5 inch, I'm going to draw a light line. You can just draw it all the way across. And then from the top of the sheet, where we put a little mark up here at 1.5 inches, we're going to draw a line down vertically. And we don't know how long the building will be, so we'll just draw it quite long. So we've got the vertical line drawn. And so that was using our full-size scale to kind of lay out the origin, sort of. And now we're going to switch over to our 1/2 inch scale. So you flip your scale around until you find where it says 1/2 inch, and that's the scale that the drawing will be done at. So, and the drawing, we're going to start at this corner. And so using our drawing here, we're going to start, this is the corner that we're going to start our drawing from. And so we first start with the overall box of the building. We talked about that, so I'm just going to sketch that onto here. So we're going to draw this overall box of the building. And using the dimensions provided, or your own, it's 14'6", so wide. So I'm going to start from this corner that with a little X that I've put here, and I'll take my scale and I'll find 14 feet. So there's 14 feet on the 1/2 inch scale, 14'6" So that's 14 at this corner, and then I want to find 6 inches, which is right here. And I'll put a little mark there. Now you want to be drawing everything lightly in construction lines, because we're not going to erase any of these lines. We'll just, leave them there, and they sort of disappear once we apply line weights. Okay, so from that mark, we'll draw this long line, and don't worry about how long it is, just draw it long all the way down. And of course, you know, your triangle is probably not long enough, and so you're going to draw that line and then carefully line up, you know, move your triangle down and carefully line it up and continue the line. And don't do a double line like I've done. You want to line it up carefully. Okay, and the building is 24 feet long. So again, I'm going to take my 1/2 inch scale, and when I look at my 1/2 inch scale, from 0, again, all the numbers that line up with the 0, so I get to 20. So there's no 24 on here. So what we'll do is we'll put a mark at 20, and then we'll add 4 more feet to that. So I'm going to line this up with 20 and put a little mark where I've got 0, and then I'll put another mark at 4 feet, so that's a total of 24 feet, and then I'll draw this line across. And don't worry about crossing, you know, extending further. That's fine because it's light right now. But now we've got our overall box. So that was the first step, was to find our overall box. The next step is to do the jogs and projections in the building. So we want to, you know, basically we're looking to draw the outline of the building. So we've got these two things. So we've got a projection right here, and we've got a cutout right here. So we're going to draw the cutout. So I'm measuring the cutout. Again, I'm going to use different numbers, but I'm going to do 6'3". So I will put it at 3 inches down here. So 3 inches, and put a little mark at 6. Again, your number will be different. And then I'm going to draw the horizontal line across. And don't worry about how long it is, because we don't know how long it's going to be. So just let it extend further. And it's 3'8" wide. I'm going to draw it at 4'4". So I'm going to line this up at 4, and then find 4 inches on here. So on here, all the sort of semi-long lines, they're 3 inches. So we've got 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. So if this is 3, then this 4 inches is, let's say, right about here. Okay, so we put a mark there, and then we're going to take our triangle. And again, our triangles have to sit very flat. You know, that's the way we're getting perpendicular lines. And we draw that vertical line in. So I've got the cutout shape right here, the jog from the cutout. And now I'm going to add the projection of the bay. And looking at the bay, I'm going to use my measurements. So I have to know how far down is it from this corner, and how long is the bay. And looking at my measurements, again, I'm just making these up. I'll make it 8'6" down from the corner. So from this corner, let's see, probably you can see it better on this side. So I'm going to line up the 6 inches here at the top, if I make it 8'6", and then I'm going to put a little mark at 8 feet. And while I'm here, I'm going to measure how long it is, and I'm going to make it 7 feet long, the bay. And so from that mark, I'm going to measure down to 7 feet and put a little mark, and draw this over. And now I need to add the width of the bay. So I'm going to measure it, and let's say I'm going to make it 1'9". So I line it up with 1 foot. Again, 10 feet doesn't relate to the scale, 0, 1, 2. So this is 1 foot. And then 9 inches. So we have 0, 3, 6, 9. So I'll put a mark there, and then I'm going to put that line in. Now, I don't know if it's very clear on the screen, so I'm just going to darken all of this in. So once we have this, then we can darken it in a little bit. Let me just, if you like, not too dark. We're not going to apply line weights yet because we still have to draw the windows and doors in here. I'm just darkening this so that you can see it clearly. Oops. And you shouldn't have, anything on your board because it'll always be in the way of your parallel ruler or your T-square. So just remove all those things, and you should just have your triangle always there and handy. Okay, so we've got the outline of the building, and the walls, the exterior walls, the walls that go around the perimeter, they're 6 inches thick, and the interior walls are we just have walls around the bathroom. Those are 4 inches thick. So now what we can do is just measure in. So I'm going to draw a 6-inch wall all the way around the perimeter, and it'll be in, measuring in from the exterior. So I take my 1/2-inch scale, and we do need to be accurate, so you don't want to guess at this. We don't want all the walls to be different thicknesses. So I'm using, I'm putting a little mark there at 6 inches, and I want to measure down and put a little mark there at 6 inches. Now, if I put a mark here, I don't need to put a mark there because I'm going to use my parallel ruler to mark this, right? I don't need to put a mark on this side. So you would be doing this lightly. So for instance, this wall, once we put a mark up here, we can take this all the way down, and it's going to be the same thickness throughout, right? And similarly, I've put a mark here, and I don't need to put a mark down here because this line is just going to be continuous. And again, we're drawing lightly. Okay, so then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to, whoops, where's my 1/2-inch scale? Yeah, I'm going to mark 6 inches there, and 6 inches there, and 6 inches here. It's always good to measure on a line that exists already because then you know it's straight. So when you measure things like this, it's not accurate. So always try to do markings along straight lines that you have already. Okay, so I need to draw the walls around my bay, and I'm just going to wing it because I don't want this video to be too long. But you measure. The walls should all be, a consistent thickness. All right, so I've drawn in my walls, and I'm just going to darken those. So you would have drawn this in lightly, so I'm going to darken them in now. And again, I wouldn't recommend that you apply line weights at this point because you're going to still do your windows and doors. I'm just darkening it in so that you can see it. Okay, so that is that. And now you can add your windows and doors to that. And so that's how we always do it. We draw our walls in first, and then we add the windows and doors. So we've got a bathroom with some interior walls. So looking at our sketch, we can see that this inside of this wall lines up with this wall, right? So we don't need to measure that. We can just continue this line over. And again, we don't know how long it is, so just draw it out like that. And then we're going to, figure out what the distance is from this line to the corner, and I'm going to make it 5 feet. But again, you need to measure, of course. So from this corner, I'm 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to put a little mark there. So I've got the width of the bathroom, and I've got that. Now the interior walls are 4 inches. So now I can just measure down 4 inches and measure over from this corner 4 inches. And then you can draw it like that. Okay, and again, I'll just darken this in just to make sure you can see it. So this line continues through, and this line is like that. And let's use my equipment here. Okay, so when we draw these lines for the walls, there shouldn't be any, any bit of wall between them. The walls are kind of continuous, with no bits in between them. But the light construction lines that you draw, again, you don't need to erase them, so you can leave things like this and little bits in there, but just draw very lightly. And so that's our walls, and now you're just going to go ahead and use your measurements to add in the windows and doors. Now about line weights, so I'd like you to take a shot at applying line weights, and we're just going to keep it simple. So the walls are going to be bold because they're sliced through. So bold means thick lines. That's what that means. It's a thick line, and it's best to use your HB lead because that helps you to draw thicker lines. And so all the walls are sliced through, and let's say, and then so the walls will be in bold, and the doors. Well, actually, let's talk about windows first. So the windows, we'll draw the windows like this. We've got our light walls that we've drawn, and then you're going to draw the width of the window into that. And so the walls are bold. We have those in bold, and the line of glazing is bold. And the sill, which is further down, is going to be in a medium line weight. So that's going to be medium, and that will be medium. And just the line of glazing will be in bold. And so the medium line is going to, normally use a H lead to draw that, and it should be thinner than the bold line. And when we draw doors, so let's say we're going to draw a door. So we've got our light walls that we've drawn, and then we're going to draw the opening for the door, and we're going to draw the door panel. Now the door panel should be, if this is 3 feet, the width of the door here, if it's 3 feet, then this door should be a rectangle. Doors are usually 1 3/4 inches thick, so we can just round up to 2 inches by 3 feet, if that's what the opening is. And then you'll take your circle template and draw the arc of the door. So the arc should start here, and it should end here, and it should be a perfect quarter arc. In terms of line weights, so the wall will be in bold, and unless it's an exterior door, there will be nothing here. If it's a door going to the outside, which we have up here and down here, then it'll have a threshold. So if you look at your door in your house, you'll see that there's a metal or wood kind of a piece at the bottom that keeps the water out. So that line is very far away, and so that will make fine, because it's way down near the ground, and it's good to use a 2H lead to do that. And also the arc of the door it doesn't really exist. So usually we use a fine line weight to draw things that don't, exist. They're clarifications, and 2H lead is good to do that. Now the door is sliced through, so it should look bold. But if we use our bold line weight to draw that, it might end up looking like a blob. And so it's better to use a medium line weight for that. So when we have two lines close together, we'll do them in a medium line weight because it'll look bold because they're close together. So we would do those in a medium line weight. So that's all you have is windows, doors, and walls. And to these walls that you've drawn, you'll add the windows and doors and apply line weights as I've described here. And we want all the lines to be dark, so your fine lines. So the only lines that are light are your construction lines. So when we do the whole drawing lightly, that's in construction lines using your 2H lead, but not pressing hard, doing it very lightly. When we apply line weights, everything is dark. But so the fine line is thin and dark, the medium line is thicker and dark, and the bold line is thickest and dark. So just do your best, and remember to try to have consistent lines. We don't want lines that that get thicker and then fade out, or get darker and then lighter, a kind of inconsistent line. Try to get your line nice and black throughout, and with the same thickness, the same darkness, the same density. And yeah, that's about it. All right. Thank you.